All right, well, it is the first week of the month, and as such, there's the A to Z's call on team building. Excitingly enough, Rick and Selena are both en route right now to Workman Success Systems coach training, where they will be for this week with about 90 other coaches that coach, hundreds and hundreds of agents across the U.S., top performing teams, brokerages from all different companies. So I'm sure there'll be some exciting things that they bring back, which you'll more than likely pick up on subsequent calls over the course of this month. And instead of canceling this call for today, we wanted to keep the cadence and the consistency. So you have me. And some of you may or may not know that Rick has a real estate sales team. And over the last couple of years, it has grown. And so we have some up close and personal experience with teams, team building, have done some things really well, have done some things very poorly, which have created messes that ultimately implode and get cleaned up, and then you learn and you go. So for this call today, I want to grab a agenda of what will be most important for each of you during our time together, and then bring a topic to the table in the conversation around the importance of setting and clearly defining what your team culture is going to be, so that you have and can build people that are aligned and matched with that. And then how to navigate and what to do if you've got a team that's not matched with that, or yours may be changing or in the process of kind of developing. So before we jump in for today and talk about those things, would love to hear from each of you what you're looking to get out of your time today on this call.
So for me, I am busier than ever. So I moved over to EXP, I believe a little over 2 months ago. We iconed a little less than a month and a half in. And I'm sorry, not iconed, the other one, capped a month and a half in, and then we should be closing 6 in a couple of weeks, and then that'll put us 10 towards icon. So, but my leads are starting to just drip out. I just can't, I can't keep up. So I did bring on one agent, but we're an unreal team. I don't even know the verbiage. She's amazing. She's great, but I do need, kind of a buyer's agent to just take up leads. I've linked up with a lender that's willing to pay a lot of money because they're trying to infiltrate this whole area. So they're paying a lot of my Zillow. They'll pay all of my Zillow. In California, they have to pay half. So they're paying all of that. They're willing to pay all of my marketing for anything as long as they're co-branded. My problem is I can only handle so many leads. Like me, my wife, and this other teammate can only handle so many. So I need to bring on more people. So that's where I'm at.
Cool. So, well, first off, congratulations and welcome to EXP. Obviously you're a busy, productive agent. And so anytime you change something and you have just the transition of change and then a flow of business and a business dynamic like that, there's definitely things to keep up with for sure. Do you have a system and structure in place for a buyer's agent organization, or you kind of just, did you pick up help with the one that you've got? Tell me about that.
So I'm going to close my door. My son is on the drums.
Oh, okay.
There we go. A friend gifted us drums. Yeah, great friend. Anyway, real quick. No, I do not have a structure. I know how to. I was a pastor at a church for a really long time, so I know how to oversee people. I know how to create an environment. But I genuinely don't know. I've been working with Jeff Gonzalez on Workman has a kind of a structure, a contract that he shared with me just to look over. So no, I don't have anything. I'm set up to meet one of the Workman coaches to kind of talk about setting up a team structure. But no, I'm kind of coming at it blind, but not really, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And we'll jump into that for sure during the call today. So thank you for being so thorough in what you shared. Sandy, what would you like out of today's call?
Hi, I am interested in being an expansion team. I absolutely love that concept. And I recently got burned by putting a lot of time, money, and effort into a Florida agent who, sucked up a lot of my time, money, and effort and then just like bailed. And I have a Texas agent just begging to join my team. And I am hesitant to allow him to join my team because I am worried about, investing my time, money, and effort into the wrong people. So I would love some advice and some guidance on that.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Judy. Hi, Judy. You have great hair. Look at all that dark hair.
Thanks. Thank you.
So much hair.
So I am a domestic partnership with my husband, and my husband has a full-time job. So we're technically a team, but I'm doing everything except for my own transaction coordinator. And I have a person who does social media. She posts one community type or like fluffy, fun post every day for me. But other than that, I do everything else. And my husband handles the finances and the billing and accounting. So right now we do we're set to close one transaction a month, maybe a little bit more, but it's a luxury market. So I'm happy with my revenue, but not necessarily the volume. Would like to learn about building a business and bringing in more people so I can attract more leads. Because right now I don't do a whole lot for lead gen. I do have a lot of leads coming in through Street Checks and Facebook and KV Core, but I'm not really pushing. I could have more, but it's like, what would I do with them if I got them? So
you just pray over them in the morning and then they grow by the afternoon. That's all there is to it.
right. So I'm at the point where like I need to know how to structure it. So I'm in the curiosity phase. I'm gathering info and detail.
Okay, perfect. Great. Erica, hello.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am good. I guess I've stepped into helping build out Brent Conley's Phoenix footprint, and I definitely need to get into the flow of more attraction, bringing more agents in. So I feel like we've got a good baseline underneath us. I've had the experience of running my own team, building a team, working with him previously. I just need to get into the flow of the doing stuff of like, I've got some stuff scheduled for classes and I need to get into a deeper, I guess, mode of attraction.
Gotcha. Okay. So for you, I'm going to recommend that would be a great topic for tomorrow's call, which is the builders call.
Okay.
This call is focused specifically on
For
sales,
building out the team.
the actual sales team. So if Brent has a real estate sales team where he's looking to bring on buyers agents and work real estate in the local area, that's more the structure of this call. However, it's a great question. And I just want to make sure that we stay dedicated to the conversation of what this one is and make sure you know which one to plug into.
Absolutely. I'm going to listen in on this one, but I'm also, since I have this blinding stuff behind me, going to get rid of my screen, but I'll be here.
Okay, you're fine. I don't mind the blinding stuff. I'd rather see a big black square.
Okay.
Katie, can I chime in real quick for Erica? I just was in the class before this with Agent Attraction with Leo Robles. That was amazing. I think that would be great for you.
Okay.
Yeah, he spent.
Yeah, I was on a Glover U item just an hour ago. So, All right. What was her name?
His name is Leo Robles. If you look at the,
Leo. Okay.
yeah,
Yep, I just didn't
he
hear
did
you.
great.
Perfect. I will
We
make
were
note
actually
of
talking
that.
about Casey a lot.
Thank you.
It was good.
Cool. All right, so let's start 25,000 foot view and then work down. The purpose of building a team is for leverage. That's the bottom line. That is why you would build a team. So that your first hire generally is going to start off with a transaction coordinator, or some kind of admin, right? And whether you decide that your transaction coordinator is simply going to handle paperwork, or your transaction coordinator is also going to double as a client service, which runs the majority of communication with the client, that will be dependent on how you structure it with whoever you bring on board. So if you just, we always come back to the purpose of building a real estate sales team is leverage, and you look at that first layer, that is going to be your first layer. And some people break that up into two things. Again, some people will make that one higher. We have it broken up into two things within our team just because that's how we have it, right? However, there's plenty of other people that put that role into one. Go ahead, Jason.
So real quick, so I have somebody that does that already for me, and then I also have a TC, and then I brought on a real estate agent, or a real estate. Well, my wife's a real estate agent, but she handles all my back end. She doesn't like people. She's in compliance. She doesn't want to talk to people. She'll text people, but she handles. So I literally bring on the client, have them sign a buyer's agreement or purchase agreement or whatever, and she handles that. Actually, I don't even know how to fill out a piece of paper. Anyway, she handles all of that, and then I put them in a three-way chat. They do all of that. Am I in charge? Well, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but when I bring on another agent, am I in charge of hiring somebody for them just to be me pretty much out there and not have to fill out paperwork, not have to fill out any of that? Go ahead.
Yeah. So let's look at the next. That's a great question. Next layer of leverage is the time to bring on a buyer's agent is when you have more business than you can personally handle. So that would be at the time that you would do that. Sandy, in your instance, if you want to do an expansion team, that's a little bit a different scenario, unless you have business coming into a certain area that you're not able to handle, and you want someone to be able to handle and take care of that business, because there is no business unless there's a lead generator generating the leads. Right? So whether you're buying those or whether you're generating them organically, every real estate sales team needs a rainmaker, which is the person that's responsible for bringing the business in. So big caveat. This is where it gets into team culture and team structure. There are real estate sales teams that have so many leads, they bring in buyers agents to work those leads and convert the business. And that is all they do. And how that team culture gets established is generally when the rainmaker has more than they can possibly handle. However, that is one way to set up a team. And a second way to set up a team would be where there is an expectation that the team lead is delivering enough value for a buyer's agent to come onto that team and give 50% of the commissions that they'll earn back to the team lead. And that comes into having a structure in place. So a daily huddle of who's in the hopper, what are we working on today, what's happening next, and a team that gets set up where there is an expectation and an agreement that in addition to receiving leads to work, that the buyer's agent is also proactively going out and generating their own leads and their own business. Those are two very different cultures to set up and establish within a team, right? So on the one hand, you have people that are like, hey, you're getting 50% of everything you do. Your job is to give it to me. And then they go work the business. That's great. The other one is, oh, this is a team that I am part of and everyone contributes to the team. So yes, there is business that I will do as a result of leads that come in that are overflow that the team lead is not able to handle. And then there's also business that will come in that gets generated directly by the buyer's agent on that team where they are being provided the infrastructure and support for the business in the form of a transaction coordinator, in the form of admin, in the form of all of the ancillary things that they don't have to go out and pay for because the team lead is already paying for those within the organization. So there's, there's benefits and drawbacks to everything, right? And if you figure, like, there is also a point of reference in that somebody that becomes that good, why are they going to stay on the team long term? Right? So inevitably, if I'm a newer agent or an agent that is, doesn't do a lot of business and I'm looking to take my business to the next level, there's got to be enough value that's being provided by the team lead for me to plug into as to why I would stay long term if you're teaching me how to fish in addition to giving me fish, right? And that comes in to the ancillary things that are going to be set up in the form of training and support, the team of people that comes on salaried or otherwise paid positions that person's not having to pay for, because they're part of a team. So I think the biggest thing to get really clear on is when you think about a team structure, if you're going to grow and scale a business, what are how do you want that design? What do you want that design to look like as far as what people are actually choosing into, so that if they're a match for what you're building, and they know if you're a match for what you want to be part of or what they want to be part of. So I know that was a lot of information. I'm going to pause. Questions, comments, feedback.
I guess for me, and this is my struggle, is I'm all about duplication. I've always been like that. I've always, even when I was pastor, just duplicate myself and leverage exactly how you started it. Although I would never sign up on a team at 50%. I just wouldn't. Even in my start, I'd be like, that's a lot of money. How do I convince another agent to sign up for 50%? I just, in my head, I'm having a hard time with it. And that's,
Yeah.
Even my mentors that are saying, Jason, this is how it's going to be because you're paying for everything. Like, we have a certain brand. So I've even considered saying, well, I'll even pay for your marketing on your listings, because my listing marketing is about $2 to $3 grand per listing. That's how much I spend on marketing each one of my listings, no matter 500. And when we get into like the 4 million, it costs me a little more, but
so how we have it set up on Rick's team is it's the Rick Jihad team, and any listings that come in are listed by the Rick Jihad team. So the marketing, all of the marketing is consistent. All of the branding is
that's us, yeah.
like everything is consistent. And that agent has is essentially a co-list. However, everything falls under the structure of a team. So where people run into challenges is where they're operating a quote unquote team. However, they really have people that are attempting to work individually within that team structure. So like, even like every email, like for instance, the name at the Rick Jihad team versus their own email, like everything becomes the brand of the team. All of the marketing is the branding of the team. All of that gets paid for. So the structure that we have set up in our business is, if an agent brings a listing, 20% comes off the top, pay the expenses associated with the listing to the Rick Jihad team.
Oh, okay.
And then what's left is split 50-50 between the agent that's brought the listing and the agent that is the owner of the team, which in this case would be Rick. You might go, well, why would someone do that? Well, because the agents are getting support with a lead listing specialist that is helping them get deals that they wouldn't otherwise get, helping them negotiate and keep commissions that they might not otherwise keep, and then have this back end system and processes in place to take care of everything so that that agent can focus on going out and getting more business or converting more business. So that they're not in the clerical and support piece of the business. That is all being taken care of by the team lead. setting expectations and making agreements, right? There was, and just super transparently, we have 9 buyers agents on, within the Rick Jihad team. And a couple of weeks ago, between Saturday and Sunday, there was 11 open houses to be held, and one of them that had been signed up for.
Okay.
So think about that. If you're the team lead and have 11 open houses over the weekend and you have a team, isn't it the expectation that the agents on your team are covering the open houses,
Right.
right? Only if you make that part of the agreement,
Right.
you set up your team culture, right? So in that instance, a couple of those open houses got covered within the team and the rest of them got covered outside of the team. What does that mean? That means that all the leads that come in from those open houses are now going outside of the team instead of coming back into the team. So again, being very intentional on, okay, what is the agreement? If you're going to be a buyer's agent on your team, and you're the rainmaker and there's listings being generated, is it 2 open houses a month? Is it 2 open houses a week? Is it 10? Like, what is the standard that you're setting for the team? Because that is going to drive and keep the business within the team, as it's being executed. So these are like really important when it comes down to getting a buyer's agreement in place for someone that's going to be part of the team in the organization. And then what you mentioned, Jason, is having it duplicate, right? So if there is one thing that is the expectation and agreement, and everyone's working on that one thing, now you have something that can scale and build. You are, it is really, when you think about a team, think about a sports analogy, right? The coach is not on the field with the players, right? The coach has a specific role in leading that team. The players have a specific role in execution, right? So in this instance, as the team leader, the team lead has a very specific role in creating that structure, creating those agreements, knowing what's going to be a fit for people to add to that organization to grow and scale with, and having those things be in place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Questions? No questions? So Judy, in your instance, you're in a luxury market, you're looking at, 1 closing a month. That's great. You've got some infrastructure in place between social media, transaction coordinator, and your husband handling paperwork on the back end. So the question would be, are you generating enough business or enough leads that warrant expanding into bringing somebody on that is going to work with buyers? Now, here's another way that it can be set up. You can bring someone onto the team that is exclusively a buyer's agent. And the exclusivity around being a buyer's agent is kind of like they're always doing the same thing. And so they're able to create a flow. Being a buyer's agent is very different from being a listing agent and taking listings. It's a different skill set, right? So looking at, okay, if I'm going to expand the business that I'm currently doing to, an A team structure can be, I'm going to bring on, for all of my listings, I'm not ever taking a buyer again. I'm going to have one buyer's agent that is going to take all of those leads, all of those buyers. That is their responsibility to work and convert those. They do not list. They will not list. They're focused on buyer business. If they get a listing, give them a 25 or 30% referral fee for bringing that to the team. All they do is make the introduction, and that's a way for them to earn off of the listing business, right? Provided it's not coming off of one of your open houses, right? Because a listing lead that comes off of one of your open houses is a lead that's generated from within the team, right? That they showed up to work. But if it's coming outside of that, the opportunity for there to be some kind of compensation structure. And when you have so much to do that you, from the listing perspective, are not able to handle the load that you have in listings, well, then there's a role called a lead listing specialist, which, in essence works as your business partner, right? So on the Rick Jihad team, we have a lead listing specialist. She only works on listing leads with Rick, and she gets a percentage of every listing that happens because The goal is whether she takes the first appointment soup to nuts and does the entire transaction, or Rick is involved, is that he's not alone in that transaction. And there is very much of a team that is supporting that client through the process. So that if she hasn't been on the initial listing appointment, she is immediately integrated into all follow-up communication as his business partner and is the lead person on that. Why? Because of the best use of his time is being the rainmaker to generate more listings for the team. Starting to understand the concept of how those, how all those pieces go together. So the only thing that we haven't talked about is team expansion. And Sandy, tell me a little bit about why you're looking at team expansion and taking on the responsibility of what that means.
I just love the idea of, that's why one of the biggest reasons I joined EXP was the no limits, no boundaries. I've always thought outside of my immediate market. And so I've wanted to do it for a long time. I travel a lot. I really don't want to turn away anybody who wants to make me money, to be honest. I absolutely love, I love leading and training agents. It is like where my heart lies. But so that is, I'm very naturally attracted to that. So, I might as well get paid to do it, but I definitely, after getting burned with the Florida thing, I'm like still licking my wounds on it. And I was very honest with this agent in Texas about it. I'm like, I'll think about it when he was asking to join my team. I invite people to join my team, they ask me to join my team. Also real quick, I don't charge 50%. I only charge 25%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the reason is, there are plenty of reasons for that, but my costs are low. My overhead's very low. Obviously, I don't have a building that I need to pay for. I don't have a lot of high expenses. I just started a virtual assistant company. My assistants costs are, very low. I don't charge them admin fees. I feel like that's what they pay for as part of the team support. So I charge 25% unless I am handing them a lead on a silver platter that like they personally came to me. But if they are scrubbing leads that are in my system or, scrubbing natural leads that I, have been paying for and things like that, that's just the normal 25%.
So if you, and this would be a great conversation with Selena on the sustainability of that as a model, because even at 50%, there is profitability issues as you grow and scale. So
it was an agent attraction decision.
Yeah, so there's a difference between having a sales team where you are, so if somebody's in Florida, that's not where your lead source is, unless you're paying for leads out of Florida, right? By way of example. And in which case, yeah.
But I have full-time lead generators that I'm paying, ISAs.
So, okay, so you have full-time lead generators, and that comes down to the quality. So essentially you're paying referral fees out for people to take your leads, which is not the same thing as a sales team. Those would be two different things.
Is it? I mean, I'm mentoring them through the whole transaction. We handle all the TC work. I'm like guiding them through everything. I don't think that really is the same thing. I would argue that.
Okay, so why are you only charging 25% then? Because 25% is what you'd get if you handed that lead off to an agent that went and closed it and paid you the 25% and all you made was the introduction.
I charge them 35% when I do a referral.
Yeah, so in the real estate industry, right? I can introduce you to someone and say, hey, Sandy, I've got somebody that wants to buy 25% referral fee, fine. And it's a phone call and it takes me 90 seconds to make that introduction and I make my 25%. It would
Yeah.
be, I wouldn't dream of 25% if I was going to do all the work that you're talking about doing. And
I
that's,
charge 30% on referrals, like outside my team.
yeah. So when you're talking about building a team where you're going to invest what you're investing, that is why the 50% structure is traditional in place, because of all of that value that's being delivered. And there is no getting burned on the other side because you're being compensated for what you're investing and what you're bringing to the growth of that person.
I'm only compensated if they're closing deals, which she didn't close deals. So that was a moot point anyway. But, if we're going to talk about traditionally, that's not what EXP is about anyway, and traditionally people had all these expenses that I don't have. So to me, I guess I feel guilty charging 50% because I don't believe in charging 50%.
That's fine. What it communicates though, is that your time, your energy, your skills, your experience, your coaching, your mentoring, and your direction is worth nothing.
It's worth 25%.
No, 25% is what you get if you throw a lead to somebody that's going to go close it for you and give you the 25% referral fee. That's your 25%. So I would say that you can look at it the way that you're looking at it. However, that's how the business
And
works.
then they're going to think twice before immediately outgrowing and leaving my team. Because at 50%, they're out of there. All that time and energy that you spent, like on them and stuff, I'm thinking they're going to bail on you. They're giving half their worth to you. They're going to bail on you, but 25%, they're going to hang in there.
And I would say that if you talk to thousands of people across the US running teams, that's not the case. Rick's buyer agent on his team that does 6 to 12 deals a year does not need to be on the team at all and wouldn't dream of being anywhere except for on the team because of all the value that she gets as a result of being on the team, working deals together with him and everything that happens as a result of that. And that's the same way that the rest of the agents that are on the team think. So you don't think that way because you're a team lead.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to attract team leads to be on a real estate sales team unless they're
That's true.
unless
That's
they're
true. That's a good
they're
point.
there for a short time to learn and then take what they've learned and go do it on their own. However, there is fewer people that are wired the way that you're wired, and the majority of them are not, which is where the team structure comes into play, right? So I would say that there's an opportunity to look at that in a different way, possibly, because I look at all the time and energy and resources and what it takes, and Rick earns every frickin' cent of the 50% that comes off the deals of the team. And if they had to do all that stuff in the background or navigate those things or not know how to navigate those things, all of that together is value. And there is there's a universal law that is net worth gets created at the balance of self-worth and other worth. So if I have a high value on self-worth, then I will put a financial compensation on my time, energy, and the value that I bring, and a balance of that with other worth, which is serving other people and helping them and really being the mentor, the coach, the trainer, that person that's going to help them in their area. It's a balance of those two things that create net worth. So if I don't have self-worth and I'm just going to give it away, and my other worth is so high, like, hey, I'm going to give you everything that, you know, that I've got to give you. It's going to help you become a better agent. It's going to help you grow your business. And I'm not putting a value on myself, but I have a high value on others. My net worth is going to be very low. If I have a very high value on myself, my time, my energies, my capabilities, however, I'm not using that to serve other people, my net worth will also be very low. Right? It's a balance of when you put those two things together, what you get out the other side, right? So from a, you know, kind of like back to that business conversation, everything is in value, right? And people all day long will pay for value. So Jason, the question that you asked about it, you know, from a 50% perspective, if you get 50% and you do 5 deals for the year, let me back that up. If you're getting 100% and you do 5 deals for the year versus you're at 50% and you do 15 deals for the year and you make, you know, 2 or 3 times the amount of money net to you as a result, which one's more valuable? If you're looking at a business, right? So again, it's reframing.
50% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
Yeah. And if the amount of business that you're able to do doubles or triples or quadruples as a result of being part of that team, it's not about the fact that 50% of it is going to the team lead as part of that structure. It's about what's the ultimate business that you want to be doing. And here's a structure where you don't have to figure out all these things on your own. They're already in place. It's already running like a well-oiled machine. And we can focus on taking the amount of transactions and business that you're doing, you know, to whatever you want it to be under our, you know, tutelage, mentoring, and the environment and culture that's set up in the team.
Sandy, can I, let me interject for a second and ask a quick question. When you're bringing the people on, or the people that you've already had with your 25% number, have they all been super great, amazing people? Or do you feel like they are blowing in your door and then like leaving again right away? Because like when I was doing team or mentorship with agents a few years ago, I found that the really, really good ones valued me for whatever reason that was. But even you're always going to have some that are going to leave, I guess. So I trained my own self to think of it as I was giving them the love that they needed until they left the nest, sort of stuff. So like, and then if they stayed, that was fantastic, because the best people always stayed. Maybe just a different.
I've had, I'm definitely very careful. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 people total that I've ever invited to be on my team. I'm a new team. Okay. I've only been burned by 1, you know, so that was the most recent one. I have.
Can you define burned? Because if somebody is going to choose to work on the team and then not choose to work on the team, where's the burned part?
It was the agent that I brought to you, the agent in Florida. I'm defining burned as let me spend a bunch of money on a bunch of leads on her, used up a bunch of my time, and then sent me an email leaving the team, leaving the brokerage, dumping me by email. That's how I'm defining burned.
Okay. So I would say that I would not define that as burned at all, because you own the leads and they sit in your KV core and you shut off access to the person that was working the leads. So you have leads.
And I don't have an agent in Florida working these leads.
Right. However, you own the leads. So if that person took all the leads and worked them and converted them and cut you out of it, I could see how that would be burned. However, you still own the leads. They're no longer working the leads. That is, they're your leads, and you have control over who gets them and who's going to work them. So the people come and people go all the time.
Yeah.
That's going to happen in any team structure, but the team lead controls the leads, which means that business hasn't been, that business still has yet to be worked and converted.
True. That's
Right.
true. I just mean my time's worth more than my money. Like, that's what I'm more pissed off about.
And so this brings us back to the 50% conversation.
It
Because
also is like, maybe that person is just not a good human and you don't want them there as you bring other good people.
And you know,
on,
it's
'cause
kind of
that
like when
person-
you fire a client and you're like, oh,
Exactly.
thank God, I'm glad that's over with. You know, like
Exactly.
she was not a good fit. She was draining me. You know what I mean? So like I'm glad that it's over with, but it was, it still sucked. So I'm just, I'm hesitant to, that was my first toe in the water expanding. I do have one other agent who is in a different part of the state, so outside of my local area in a different part of the state, and that's gone very well. And she was a new agent. She's doing great. So, expansion works. I believe in it.
Yeah, for sure. And, there's lots of people that generate leads of different sorts and are looking for people to take them without making the investment of actually running a team or an expansion team. So, there's different ways that you can go and structure it based on, what that overall intent is, right? Because you can create another layer of business without having to be the person. Like you could send those, if you sent a lead in this area, like let's say you had those leads instead of Florida, where, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and you sent them to the Rick Gia team, there's no need for you to do anything other than send over the referral, agreement, and then that team will get them closed. Done deal, right? So if you have leads and want to create leveraging your business by having your leads closed to create referral business, that is, yeah, you can do that. That's an easy and great thing to do. And then the time or energy or effort or money is spent on the generation of the actual lead. Excuse me 1 second.
And I'm working on so that this doesn't happen and so that I can leverage more. I'm developing courses instead of, having to spend time, teaching these agents, I'm developing these courses that I can just put these agents through or grant them access to these courses and things like that. I'm trying to build out a bunch of leverage. Sorry, my dog's snoring, having
That's
a
okay.
dream over there.
That's okay. Yeah. So there, and then, we have access to that through Workman for our entire organization, and step by step on every aspect of any transaction, buyer or seller, or bringing on admin, and all of the systems and structures associated with that. And how many people actually execute on it? Not very many. How many people watch the things and apply them? Not very many. And
yeah, I paid for that for her as well, and I'm sure she wasn't using it.
yeah. So, if it comes back to, when we look at kind of back to the building a sales team, whether that's going to be a sales team in your local market, or if you're building a sales expansion team, some of the nuts and bolts are the same, which is going to be the value that you bring as the team lead and the structure that's in place to grow and leverage with when the next thing is needed, you add in the next thing, right? So Vanessa, some of you guys know her, Vanessa Johnson, she's in Oklahoma. How she set up hers was she was an individual agent and doing, 100 plus transactions a year on her own. And when she came into the EXP model, she wanted to recruit. And so she used her sales teams as a methodology to do that. And what she did is she has 4 people that are part of her sales team that run all of her business. She hasn't been on any buying or listing appointments. All of that business goes direct to those leads. And they are on, a traditional team split because she's the one that's generating that business for them. And then as they've gotten busier, they also now are able to bring on other agents within the EXP model and duplicate what she's done for them. They're now doing for the people that they're bringing on. And Vanessa, as the team lead, is paying the transaction coordination, is the structure of, team huddles every day, and working to coach and grow and develop that organization there locally. And again, that is her, she icons every year without going on an appointment. herself personally.
Quick question, does Rick allow or accept people on his team that are not in his organization?
He does not have anyone on his team right now that is not in his organization. Does he have a rule around it? I don't know that he does or doesn't. I haven't
I
heard.
was just curious.
Yeah. There is, so Kenny Fast, who's here in the Bay Area, there's people that Rick has personally recruited that are on Kenny Fast's team, sales team. And he has, Zillow Flex account, and they're on a $4,000 cap with the company because it's considered a mega team. However, they're in Rick's EXP organization, right? So can it be done? Yeah, it can be done.
There's a mega icon team in my organization, but he has a hard rule, like you straight up have to be in his downline if you want to join his team. So like people have left EXP for 6 months and came back if they wanted to be on his team.
Cannot wait until they get that changed to a year. That will not-
I'm looking at probably bringing on 2 people that are not part of my downline. I think they're on our team, but not on my downline at all. So, I think one of the biggest things that Sandy, you mentioned at the very beginning was, you said it, I want other people making money for me. And that was a big thing that you said in the very beginning. So, hand the referrals off at 25%. It's cheaper, it's easier. You literally just like give it to somebody. But if you want to grow your team, I think, especially if you're buying stuff for them, you might be best off charging just a little bit more. And I feel you, because I feel the exact same thing. But one of my mentors and a friend of mine that we talk about it, he says, Jason, you're not attracting yourself on your team. If you attract yourself, you'll only be there for a short amount of time, and then you'll just move on and then build another team. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. No one's burning anybody. It's just your interview process was that you hired yourself.
That's actually a very brilliant model, right? Because Sandy, what if you hired 10 of yourselves that were newer in the business? And you said, listen, I'm going to teach you to do exactly what I'm doing, and you're going to leave me within a year and go build your own teams, because that's the kind of level of business you're going to be doing. Now, what does that mean for you? That means you have capping clients that are on your first level, or capping partners that are on your first level into perpetuity with a leverage and duplicatable expansion of your overall organization. If you brought people and said, hey, I don't want you here more than a year. Here's what we're going to do in the year. I'm going to teach you how to do what I've done.
That's a great point.
And then there's other people that honestly will never leave your team. They just, that's their personality. They are there for that. They are great closers. They are great people. They love people. They have respect, honor. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not you. You have a certain personality. I Googled you. I just looked you up. You have a certain personality. You're moving a lot of homes. That's great. But you're not going to hire yourself, because even yourself would be like, I'm not paying you 25%. So all to say is I think Casey, you nailed it. I do hear her though in saying that's tough. I have a hard time with 50%. I mean, Jeff and Amberly, they're saying 40%, like giving them a 40%, they're keeping 60. And they're like, Jason, just do it. And I'm like, I can't, it's too rough. Yeah, so I hear our time, my wife's time. I have a 3-year-old that I have to invest in, like, period. I can't, my time is, you said it as well. Your time is more valuable. You said it. You actually used those words. My time is more valuable than money.
What about like referral leads, like Up City and the referral payout leads? What do you guys do for those on like Rick's team, for instance?
I don't know, because I'm not that deep into that piece of it. However, I'm sure that you could bring that back to the call on the third week.
Okay, that'll be a question that I have.
Yeah.
Just curious about.
So yeah, I am part of, like I said, I have this other lender that's just dropped. It's a huge bank around here that's trying to infiltrate our market. So they said, Jason, I own a lot of this market share. So they linked up with me, they're paying for all of that. So I got a lot of Zillow leads, I'm getting a lot of Corfac leads and, you know, all of that. Frankly, it's my money. It's literally my, like me and my wife's money, we're paying for that. And granted, they're paying more than half, but I'm splitting that, and they are with the one agent that I do have with me, and my wife's an agent, but the one agent that I do have with me, we're at 50-50, and she was grateful for that.
Yeah, I have one agent, and he is just a closer. Like literally any lead that he gets, I mean, he is just calling me up. I go, you know, I got another one. And so, I mean,
25%,
yeah.
and you're mentoring them and all of that.
Mhm.
That's a lot of time.
But it's better than him not being on my team and closing all of those.
But you could get somebody else at 50 to close those, because you're giving them the lead. You're literally, and that's what I said.
Well, actually, a lot of those are op cities that he's closing. And so that's why I'm like, and no, but I am partnering with some lenders and gonna be dumping some money into those, because he's proven to me that he's closing those deals now. He's really been proving those to me. So now I'm gonna dump a lot of money into him on those. And then I probably would, that's a good point. I'll just be like, these leads are 50%. I'll just like, I'll ease it in a little bit. These leads are 50%.
You would be amazed at how often agents are calling to give Rick referrals. And they're like, yeah, how's 35%? How's 50%? And I'll take the lead of communication with the client. And he will take that business. He never says no. He takes that business because it's business that he wouldn't otherwise have. And that is, you know, a team lead, right? And the price point on that.
And that's exactly what I do when I'm giving out referral business. I totally charge them more. And if they push back, I'm like, I'll find another agent who will take it. And then they're like, oh, well, wait, you know, like, so you're right. You're right.
Sandy, is this person, so I also have, so here's one of my, and I'll just show it to you. So it's my, oh, you can't really see it. It's my last name. It's our family last name. So she's marketing us. So that's another thing. Like and she paid for all her signs. She did all of that. But granted, we're on untraditional teams. So there are some leads that I don't get anything for, that she's closes, and that's okay. Like I trust her. She was my first kind of experiment. But on my next leads, they're going to have my name. They're going to have exactly our design there. So our name is going to be on more signs out there. Although what I'm hearing, and this is why I'm here, who takes the listing? Is it Jason and Michelle Francia, even though it's there? How does that work, Casey?
Yeah, so the listings, so any new agents that come onto Rick's team, and this is coaching that he got as a result of Selena joining our organization and coaching so many high-performing teams across the US. Any new agents that join Rick's team will only work with buyers, period. They will not have the option to work with sellers at all.
So even when it's their buyers, I take them, and well, I don't take them, or I guess I do take them. They don't work with them.
They only work with so all of the 9 people that are on the team are grandfathered in to be able to work with buyers or sellers, but not work with sellers alone. Like they have to be working with the lead buyers or the lead listing specialist, which is Shauna, or with Rick. So all appointments they go on, and they're not in those transactions alone, because they are representing the Rick Jihad team, and because they are not seasoned listing specialists, they do not have the liberty of doing that by themselves because of the, you know, years of experience. The lead listing specialist on Rick's team, Shauna, is 20 years in the business. She's a broker, like that. They are getting that when it comes to their transactions. So for the 9 agents that are on the team, they are able to bring listings to the team and co-list.
Okay.
Everything is marketed as the Rick Jihad team listing, co-listed with that agent, 20% off the top for all of the expenses. And then 50-50 off Rick's 50%. He pays a percentage to Shauna, which is a lead listing specialist. That's what's in place. Moving forward, because he's learned
Yeah.
now that that was not necessarily the most healthy structure for what he was looking to create. Any new buyer's agents that join the team moving forward, because they have a lead source now that they're going to need hungrier and more people with, is only working with buyers, period. And if they have a seller lead that comes to the team, it is, depending on that lead, a 25 to 30% referral that they'll get off of that closed business. However, they don't touch the transaction at all.
Here's what I'm running into, and I know we're running out of time. So I need to build a team. I have seasoned agents, and in our market, just so you like, most of our average transaction is 600 grand. So I have seasoned agents. This agent is closing 20 deals a year, and she's coming to me beating around the bush. And eventually a friend of mine just said, dude, just ask her if she wants to be on your team, and then interview her, hardcore interview her. But my issue is going to be, she might bitch about, and excuse me, I'm sorry, she might complain about, I'm not going to give you my listings. But that's going to be our branding. It's going to be me paying for my videographer, my walkthroughs, my everything. So should I then say, sorry, you can't be on our team? What are your thoughts?
So two things. I'm happy to share our buyer's agent team agreement if you want to see what it looks like, because part of it is Workman, part of it is not Workman.
I love that.
Yep. So if you ping me at Casey@empirebuilders.pro, I will send that over to you for you to take a look. And I'm also happy to share the lead listing specialist agreement that we have with our lead listing specialist. So it's possible that she comes on as a lead listing specialist and doesn't work with buyers at all.
Right.
Or you could make her a hybrid, right? Where she does both and you have an agreement in place for what that looks like. That will really be up to you to decide. And I would encourage you to jump on the call, not next week, the week after this call, because Selena and Rick will be back on, and Selena coaches she coaches a lot of high producing, high level teams on exactly the things that you're talking about. And
that's kind of my next phase. So I've got two agents, another agent he's out door knocking 200 doors a day, and he's still not closing that many deals. So he's like, Jason, you're my mentor. Jason, you're this. Jason, you're that. And I'm considering just bringing him on. He's a great guy. Like, of course, the interview process, that whole thing. And then just giving him the leads, because he can close, because he has a track history of closing. He just doesn't, I don't think he knows how to knock on doors correctly. Like
there's a definite skill set for
Yeah.
that, because which I would say definitely bring up on the next call with Rick, because he's a master at that. All right, we're at the top of the hour. Kim, I know you jumped on, we were in progress in conversation, and I think here's the bottom line. There's no, it has to be this way or it has to be that way. There's just different benefits and different drawbacks to structuring things differently, right? So it's really going to depend on what your ultimate objective is. And then how do you structure that based on what your objective is? And that's going to be very unique and independent for each person, right? So like Sandy, if you're looking at expansion teams, that might be different for you than it is for Jason, who's in his own local market, looking to grow and expand and scale there. Kim, was there anything outside of what we've already been in conversation on that you wanted to make sure you left this call with today?
Well, I apologize for being late, for starters, because I was really looking forward to this, because I'm kind of in a weird little flux. And I was actually going to call you and see if I could bribe you with like lunch or something if I drove up there. Seriously, you're on my to-do list, like to come see you, if you would be so kind to entertain me for an hour. But I've got a weird, my history with Krista. I'm her peer mentor. My organization has grown from nothing to, I think last I checked, I had like 92 in my org.
wow.
8 or 9 of them are local. And I wasn't planning on having any local. And then one day I went, well, it'd be nice to have like people to go do stuff with that, you know, we could do like social media stuff and just different things. Cause I do a lot of community stuff just that I learned, like my Adopt a Road, Adopt a Pet, farm stands, groups. I have a bunch of different things like that that they can all participate in and help with their business. But I don't have a structured team. I do lead gen. So they're just with me at EXP, right? Those agents. But some of them would love to like do more and get leads. So I'm generating leads and cultivating them with my ISA. We don't have any, because I'm relatively new with all that, but I want to start feeding them leads, but I want to do it smart. And sometimes when I share like verbally, then they're like, oh, I have this great idea. And then they just reiterate exactly what I just said. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. What are you doing? You were supposed to be one of the ones that I fed the leads to. Well, I had this happen last week where this gal was like, I'm gonna start generating leads and I'm gonna give them to my frontline people that are local. And I'm like, that's what I'm doing. So I need to like keep my mouth closed a little bit more until I have it gelled maybe a little bit more and then like roll it out. And I'm just kind of trying to figure stuff out. I'm not sure where I'm at.
So as far as that goes, I would recommend that you grab 30 minutes on the calendar with Selena. And then if you have leftover stuff you want to go through with me, that didn't fit in that conversation, I'm happy to make time to do that. If you email her at selena@empirebuilders.pro, SELINA.
Okay.
At empirebuilders.pro. She's unbelievable. And honestly, she ran a team back in on the East Coast that was doing 30 million a year when they started, and 6 years later they were doing 90 million a year. And she ran the whole thing. She grew the team, she made the hires, and she's got a ton of experience. So way more than I do in that area, which is why I'm not pushing you off to her. She's actually that you want to talk to, because I'm not in that area.
No, that's cool. But I knew you would know where to send me. That's all good. Yep. Yeah, I went to, sorry. Oh no, I went to a John Sheplack event last week. And so Dan Beer was there, Glenn Sanford was there, which was bizarre, but cool. And a lot, it was broker agnostic, and there was like a lot of the mover and shakers of EXP were there, which was incredible. But then also the top lady at Remax, I think she's the top team lead. But I mean, they're doing like silly amounts. They had a ladies panel that had 5 agents. Of those 5 ladies, their organization or their business, because they weren't all EXP, sold 7,000 homes in 2021 out of 5 people. I mean, it was like crazy. Plus they're doing all the group stuff. I mean, so I just want to do it right.
Yeah.
I want to learn from the experts that have gone before me, so I don't have to recreate this, because I know there's so many different, like you said, a hybrid. I think I'm going to end up with a hybrid team, because I, like Jason was saying, I've got a gal that's 25 years in. So I had her go get her mentorship, and I'm trying to put mentees with her, and she wants that, but she only wants to pick and choose, which is fine, because some, those are time consuming, like that little gal was saying earlier. So I'll call Selena, or I'll get on her calendar and then go from there.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Jason, thanks for being on.